So as you'll know by now, I run a club called Team Savage HQ, which is primarily an MMA club, but I do have some very good up-and-coming boxers. The question I get asked a lot is, what is the Team Savage logo? Or what does it mean, or where does it come from? So I'm going to try and address that and explain it to you. It's two parts really. The first part being the word savage and the arrow. So basically, when I started fighting with my coach Ollie Ellis, extremely good coach, made me everything I am today in terms of MMA, so everything's attributed to him. We were training all the time and entering tournaments under the name of Clevedon Submission Wrestling, which was obviously okay, Clevedon being the place that we were both from, and submission wrestling being the martial art we were both skilled in. And I was trained in. Ollie from Clevedon Submission Wrestling, which we called it in the name, but Ollie Ellis was a submission wrestler where he learned all his skills in Australia from a guy called Larry Papadopoulos, who was king of Pancrase and trained submission wrestling by Japanese fighters. So we decided when we got fully into MMA in the amateur ranks and had had a couple of fights each that we needed a proper name. Now at the time, this may sound a bit odd, everybody was wearing hot pants style fight shorts, and we had one pair that we used to share for fights. We only wore them for fights and we used to share them, and they were from a guy in Larry Papadopoulos' gym, which was Boxing Works in Australia, and he'd set up his own brand called Savage Fightwear. Anyway, based on that, we decided, because we were using all the shorts all the time, sharing them between each other, we would call it Team Savage, and we went with that. And the logo of Savage Fightwear was the word savage with a spear through it. So I've evolved that part of the logo into an arrow, because my thoughts are an arrow is a far more precise part of weaponry, obviously for an archer, and it's a skillful thing. You need to be very skillful to use it, and also it's something that creates maximum damage from a distance without the archer taking on any damage himself, which essentially is the best way to fight in any combat sport, especially MMA. Cause as much damage as possible without taking on any damage yourself, and then you can never lose really. So that's why it's evolved into that. And I also kept it so the arrow is wooden with a feathered tail and a flintstone head. So it's got a prehistoric element, because I feel that MMA brings out something primal in primarily men, in terms of that aggression, that need as a species to fight. So you've got the precise, skillful element of an arrow, but also the brutal, prehistoric element of the way the arrow is constructed. So we combine those two together, and I feel that's how MMA is. The other part of the logo is not a pigeon, and it's not an eagle. It is a condor. And it's not any condor, it is based on the condor from the Nazca lines in the Nevada desert, which were created many, many, many years ago. You want to do your research really to have a look into this. And it's something where if you're on the ground, you cannot see the entire picture. Whereas if you're high up in the sky, you can see exactly what it is. However, it was created in a time where that kind of aerial flight would have been, by our history books, impossible. So therefore the precision and the straightness of the lines has always been a bit of a mystery to the world as how they created these hieroglyphs, I believe they're called, and how precise they are and how straight they are without the use of aerial photography. So that's a mystery in itself. It's in fact Genki Sudo's interpretation of the condor, and as you will see if you look up Genki Sudo, it's the tattoo on his back. I just so happen to have that tattoo on my back based on the Nazca line elements, but primarily based on the fact that my favourite fighter by far of all time is Genki Sudo. He was someone that didn't take on much damage, was very flamboyant, was very good, was very exciting, and was just everything that MMA should be. He was also a Japanese fighter, which is, you know, kind of a homage to our style, which essentially is a Japanese style of fighting. It has nothing to do with BJJ or any other style of fighting. It's primarily a Japanese style. So there you have it. That is the evolution, if you like, or evolution of the Team Savage logo. So there's a lot of meaning behind it. So it's not just something that looked pretty, in case you didn't know.